Like if, say, for instance, you wake up about, say if you normally get up at 7, if you wake up at 6 and you sort of drift in and out, at that point you could do it. And the thing to do, which I did, is in real life, I drew a little black dot on my hand. And every time I looked at it throughout the day, you just say to yourself, is this a dream? Is this a dream? And eventually in your dream, you will see that black dot and you'll be like, like that's one of the things. And it's, but I was able to just, like a lot of my ones would come from nightmares, and my nightmares were
Headbangers. Welcome back to the Headbangers podcast, where your hosts Nathan and Brad. Here today we're joined by Rich from Karybdis. How are you doing, man?
Karybdis.
Yeah. I thought I nailed it this time.
Karybdis. So that's our problem as a band. I think that's why we've been going for so long and not got anywhere, is because no one could say our name. Too embarrassed to try.
You guys have played Selfie Stage at Bloodstock. You guys are doing all right, man.
Yeah, we've done. Yeah. Well, the first time we played Bloodstock. Sorry, to interrupt you. Go on, you do your thing. Do your thing.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, icebreaker. What's like your funniest / worst tour story, or maybe they're intertwined? But what's the tour memory that always comes back to you?
There's a few. Every tour we had has its own little story, I guess. One that wasn't so funny, it was a bit serious, but we played this little tour of Scotland, and we hired a camper van sort of thing with motorhome, and we were going as a 4-piece at the time, again, because I think it wasn't the guitarist issue, it was one of them couldn't make it. Yeah. So we went as a 4-piece in this motorhome. Jay, our bass player, had some form of pneumonia, which we weren't really sure about, but he was basically dying. So we played this. Basically, we'd turn up to the show. He'd stay in the bed the whole time, come out, play a show, nearly die, and then go back to sleep. And in his sleep, he sounded like he was about to die. It was probably like he was in the night, goes these horrific noises, and we're like, is this going to happen? But during that time, which is probably really annoyed Jay, is that we drove halfway to the next show, which was in Edinburgh, but we pulled up at some little beach, ordered a kebab, and played some Game of Frustration, which is a little annoying dice game, while watching Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, my dad's obsessed with it. Him and my granddad will play it at his, and they've turned it into a gambling game. They call it Click. I'm not even kidding. Like, my dad takes it so seriously. Like, he makes up his own rules, but then thinks that's the rules of the game.
Yeah, amazing. My mum got me into that game, and she lives in Scotland, so every time I go up there, we have an intense competition, and she often wins, annoyingly. I mean, it's just pure luck. It's just I just don't have luck. That's it.
Yeah, no, it is in the name. It is quite a frustrating game, isn't it?
Mate, especially when someone enjoys winning, like your mum. My mum rubs it in my face hard.
Competitive.
Yeah, annoyingly. 1 second. So with that tour story, it was like, we just ended up on this beach while we were playing that game, Jay trying not to die, and we were watching Crocodile Dundee, which some of the guys had never seen. And it was like, when we hired this tour bus, they had a selection of DVDs you could take, and I was like, we'll have 1 and 2, thank you very much. And they'd never seen it, but when they did ask, because the cover of Crocodile Dundee is like a giant Paul Hogan standing next to 2 buildings. So I just said, it's about this giant Australian man that comes to New York and attacks New York like Godzilla, but an Australian man. You're like, what?
It's crazy though that obviously one of your members had pneumonia. Like, because I remember when I had it, it was horrific. Like, it proper. I feel like it's one of those things that creep up on you, because I remember I didn't have a cough like when I had it. I just woke up and I couldn't move.
Yeah.
So I had to go all the way to the hospital. I've been lung drained and all that
Jesus,
shit.
Yeah. Jesus. But so I mean, I don't know if it was that level of bad where he has to have his lung drained, but he works a lot, and he won't ever call in sick. He just goes in. So when we were going to tour, he was like, we only spoke on WhatsApp, and he's like, not feeling great. And then we didn't realize the extent of it till the point when he played. It was like he was in the thing. It's like, I'll come out for no sound check. He'll come out exactly for the half hour or 45-minute set we played, and then at one time he tried a headbang, and that was the most he could do. He was like, why did I do that? And then after the set, he ran off pale, just like shivering away. But he made it through the tour.
That entire like bit where it's actually like it just like I don't know, it feels just so painful. Like it literally feels like you're just getting constantly jabbed. Like if you try moving, like it's literally just getting this sharp pain all the way down there. It's horrific. I can't imagine having to play a gig on it.
No, well, we were quite insensitive to him as well. Sitting in the bus of us playing frustration and telling him to shut up.
Oh yeah, because obviously you're going to be thinking, oh, it's just a cold, it's just a cough. Come on, like.
No, we could see it by day 2. You could definitely see it. Like me and Mitch shared a bunk it was like above the top part of the motorhome, and we heard his breathing at night. It's like, do you think he's going to make the night? It's like it got really bad, but it was like we had to put the heating on in the van. The bus had heating, which was amazing because we were on the middle of a beach. And it was freezing up there, but yeah, it was great.
Mad. I imagine that heating was a lifesaver. Sleeping in the van.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
One thing as well I kind of want to ask is like, what sort of drew you to Melodeath? Like, what about that sound really sort of made you want to go into it?
Well, it's a weird one, right? Because we've all come from different backgrounds of music, and I joined them 10 years ago now, I think, off of Gumtree. I found them on Gumtree doing an ad, and they played different types of music at that point. It was still metal. It was verging on death, but more metalcore-y, I guess. And I liked death metal and deathcore, and I could hear that they could play. And I was like, right, I'll try with them, and we'll see how it goes. This is a long story, but the short answer to your question is no one decided. Really, it was like something. So our drummer plays classical music, so that was a big influence. That's his main sort of job. He plays classical violin. He's brilliant, and he teaches instruments as well. And so we've got that side of it. And we incorporated it into the first actual album. There was an EP before that which had no sort of melodic stuff other than the riffs, I guess. But we had second time Mitch was recording violin in the studio properly and stuff, and a lot of times we didn't hear what he was going to add until it was done. Like we're like, oh, all right, that's good, but it worked out well. But I mean, everyone's got a respect and kind of love for it. No one's, maybe Jay was into it quite a lot, and a couple of the guitarists that's come and gone definitely are into a lot of the more Melodeath stuff. But it was just trying to find a ground between everyone that we all liked somehow, and it kind of it worked in a weird way. Like I don't even know if we're all happy with it all the time. Like we all fighting for our corners, but we all get on with it. It's never an argument. But yeah, I think everyone's got their own taste in music, and everyone wants to do their bit. So it's like a random act that came out like that.
Yeah, I always find it intriguing, to be honest, like how a band lands on a certain sound, because obviously everyone comes in and they've got their own taste, and like no one really says we're going to be this genre today.
Yeah.
You just sort of like all blend your styles, and that's the final product is what comes out of it. So
yeah,
it's always been like a wonder of mine, because I'm not in like a band. I can't play any fucking shit at that. So yeah, I always like hearing bands and like how they drop on that.
Yeah, I've been in a few bands, and I feel it's different. Like, cause I joined Karybdis so I didn't know them. They were a band. Some of them knew each other prior to it, and some of them met the same way through an ad. So when in the bands I've been in with my friends, you do go in with an idea of like, should we do this, and should we, this is the ideas we'll try to bring out and what we want to be, and just we listen to the same music as what we want to sound, to sort of not to sound like, we always want to sound like a progressive version of that sort of thing, but in that genre. So yeah, it's easier when you do it with friends, I guess, as long as you're all level-headed people. But then when you do it with strangers, it's everyone's fighting for their corner a bit more, and it's about compromise, like a good relationship, which we sometimes have.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I remember when I first started like the band that I was in previously. It was like, what was that band? It were Rain Eyes. We only managed to release one track. We decided to take. It took us like 2 years just to release that one track. So we were like, let's just take a break. And then like after a while, we like it got harder and harder to get back into it. So me and the guitarist Jordan have been like, we met on Join My Band like I think 4 or 5 years ago almost now. So we just now I've got like kind of the contrast of like what you said, where it's like
Yeah.
You know, I started. You know, we all didn't really jam together before, and then we're like, oh, it was kind of like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? And then like now it's like I'm mates with really good mates with Jordan, so I'm like, he's like, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, oh, I really want to go for death metal. And he's like, shit, I'm down for that. And he's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just the contrast from when you're friends. It's like, I'll just do anything. You're my mate, I trust you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all different people and stuff. Like I was saying, when I joined Karybdis, like I'm the front man. I'm not like the main man behind the band. Is like Mitch is probably the main guy. He definitely does the most work. So it's hard to go in as a vocalist, even with the ideas I knew I wanted to do, and be like, let's do this now. Like as a new person, I don't want to be like changing them in a certain way. I wanted to work with them, blend with them and stuff. And we all progressed in a way that we like, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
That's
I
think
to be fair, you like your new EP is larger than life. You know, it's very cinematic, and anytime I hear like that sort of orchestral sound, I'm like, I'm in. You son of a bitch.
Nice.
I want to ask a question, like, if it was to be a soundtrack to a movie, what movie would it be? Because I think it's obviously very kind of paints a picture. I think like it's got a lot of dimensions to it.
Yeah, I feel like when I picture stuff when we do stuff that has a basis of mythology, it has like I see a movie like 300-esque, you know, like that sort of visuals. Maybe it's a slightly deeper story because like not that that's not a deep story. I love 300. Like it's one of the films I've watched
cheesy
many
as
times.
fuck, but it's great.
It is, yeah.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it. I've never had a chance.
I watched it on some LSD and I thought I was in it, so it was wonderful.
Hell yeah.
I was like, good.
I've added it to the bucket list.
He's like kicking over your TV.
So it would be something along the lines of that style of movie, but I don't know exactly what. I'm quite scatty minded, and the songs are quite scatty because some of it goes from being like personal, sort of my own stuff, to then I delve into dreams a lot. So into my own dreams, I used to sort of study them in my own way, and so I try to recall little ideas. And even though some of it's obviously I just sit there and try and work with it, I work with like the dreams I've seen and try to the visuals I've seen. I try to write out that as if it's a person telling this tale, like a narrator of life sort of thing. I get that so it goes from being like me to someone to me. Sometimes self-help sort of thing.
What were some of like the wildest dreams that you've had then? Like what some of them inspired the album?
When I used to practice lucid dreaming, which is the ability to like wake up in your dream and you kind of control it. You don't fully. It's like I'll wake up in the scenario that I was in that dream, and then you'd be like, "Oh, I'm dreaming." So you sort of try to fly, or I tried to fly to space once. At Orion's belt, I saw it I saw the star, and I was like, "I'm going up." And as I got like outside of the Earth, it became all mathematical equations, and just my brain was like, "Nah, we can't figure this out." And then
I'm going back.
I had to get back down. Yeah, but yeah, with that one, there was lots of stuff that was like the fates. There was one of the Morai song. There was a lot of stuff about the fates in my dreams, where it would be either demons or family members telling me little ideas, and it was always in this sort of mystical looking way. It was quite vivid. So that's that. Plus, I smoke weed, and that happens as well.
How do you practice lucid dreaming?
Right, so you can look them up. There's lots of things online about it, but simple ones are when you go to bed, you can focus on trying to have a dream instead of, I know people struggle going to sleep these days, but I used to turn everything off and try to just focus to get in a dream, and often it comes later. Like when you try it, it's hard to do, and it happens naturally near when you're about to wake up. Like if, say for instance, you wake up say if you normally get up at 7, if you wake up at 6 and you sort of drift in and out, at that point you could do it. And the thing to do, which I did, is in real life, I drew a little black dot on my hand. And every time I looked at it throughout the day, you just say to yourself, is this a dream? Is this a dream? And eventually in your dream, you'll see that black dot and you'll be like, that's one of the things. And it's, but I was able to just, like a lot of my ones would come from nightmares, and my nightmares were like evil were chasing me a lot in my dreams. So it was like there was a fail-safe to get out of it, and it was to be like, it's like a little shake that I felt I must have did in real life, which sort of triggered something. I don't know. I felt it on my head, like it got me out of it, and I was like, oh, and I could just fly off. I was like, hey, it'll do. That's that sorted. So it's little triggers that do it. But yeah, so yeah, if you just look up practicing lucid dreaming, it's awesome when you can do it. But I mean, I struggled to fly doing it. Like I'd be like just dragging on the floor. Like, I was like, this is not what I signed up for.
So it's crazy though that you mentioned that, because like I remember when I was a kid, it's not like I could naturally lucid dream, but I remember doing it once as a kid, and the only reason why I remember, because I remember knowing I was in a dream, and like, because I remember it was a nightmare, and it was, I think I just watched like a vampire movie, and I was only like 6, and I dreamt that it was in the old flat, like that my mum and dad used to live in when I was like really young. So I'm surprised I even remembered what it looked like. And that the vampire was in the window, and I had to go in, and like I remember being like, oh, this is a nightmare, and then like flip it into a really happy dream. Where I was like, you know, like surrounded by like clouds and shit like that. Like, but like I remember looking back as an adult going, how the fuck did I do that? And can I do it again? Like,
what is this power?
Because I mean, the only thing about it is when I did it during a time of like I was working a part-time job, so I had a lot more time to not sleep, right? And that's the thing, is when you do it, you're not really resting anymore. So if you have a whole night of doing it, or even a couple of hours of doing it, it takes away your actual sleep, and then next day you feel knackered, sort of thing. That can happen if you do it that much, to that extent. I don't do it that much now, but I miss it. But it's just because of the crap we have now. It was before Netflix and that. I go to sleep watching stuff now, before I just turn it all off and be like, right, focus on that. And I could pretty much get into a dream quite quickly at that point.
It's so interesting.
Yeah, look it up. It's fun, man.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna definitely try it out. As well, like, you know, like we kind of covered the name at the beginning. How did you actually come up with the name of the band then?
Well, so they were named Karybdis before I joined. It was the only thing I didn't like about them, because I know when I read it, it was like I was like Karybdis. We've had so many different versions. Like, so on our Facebook, we put it like we wrote it in like phonetic sort of things, like Karybdis. That's just gonna be our slogan now. It's Karybdis. It's gonna be like that. It comes from if you know Homer's Odyssey, it's like a Greek mythological, I don't know the words, like an epic poem sort of thing, or epic story. And it's like the whole basis of Greek mythology in it. And Karybdis is a sea demon sort of thing. There was like Scylla and Karybdis, and I think they were sisters. But the most metal part of the story is that the drummer's mother picked the name, and it stuck.
Oh wow!
Yes. So yeah, so it was like, well, Karybdis, and I think the original spelling is with a CH, like CHARIBDIS, very probably more understandable to read it. But because of the way metal was and sometimes still is, they put a K to be cool.
So like, is like Greek mythology and stuff like that something that sort of influences the band a little bit, or?
Yeah, so because of the name, basically, we all have an interest in it, in some basic, some much more. I've got the book in the other room. I should show you. It's an amazing looking book. I've read a bit of it. It's hard, it's like one of those. It's like I don't know if you've read or seen this thing called Paradise Lost. It's like a
heard of it. Yeah.
So that's another poem. Same as like Dante's it's the Circles of Hell thing. I think Dante's.
Have you ever read the full version of Dante's Inferno?
No.
It is like, to be fair, like reading it now, you're like, I don't get why this was held as such a great book.
Yeah.
But like, you realise that like back then there's probably nothing on it, and it was actually originally meant to be like a comedy, which is why if you ever read it, read it and then like Google like who the figures are in it, because like in hell, like the political figures that Dante wrote it didn't like. There's also like a lot of sections where Dante is basically kind of wanking his own ego off, where he's there like, Dante, you're so good. You get to see all the like the layers of hell and be protected by an angel. It's there like, oh great. And then like he meets like his hero, who's like an orphan at that point was like passed away. And he was there like, oh mate, Dante, you're sick. And like, I'm not even kidding, like there's literally like bits where it's there like he meets like his hero and he's there like in his own book being like, you're the best writer Italy has ever seen. Like it's like, come on, man. Like
wow. The thing is, I think I don't know how old it is, but I know like I think with that Paradise Lost one as well, there wasn't many books prior to it. It was like it was one of the early actual books or stories or something like that. So you know, you can kind of say that there's only about six writers. Like, yeah, I definitely am.
Oh yeah, well, it's when it was released. Because it was very against the Catholic Church at the time. I think even like the Pope in it is in like the worst one of the worst layers of hell. Like I think he's on like the fight almost like third to last. So they were like, oh fucking Dante's a bastard, and Italy were kind of like, no, fuck him. And it's to the point where like now they've been like even had to go back on it and been like, oh no, he was a hero to the Italian people. It's like honestly it's. You read the book now, it's like nothing really special, but you can understand why it is. There's also a lot of shit that obviously
check it.
written in like.
I'm going to put it in my
I need to read it as well
because it's actually one of those things that I've got a list of things I've wanted to read and stuff, and that's one of them.
It's very dark. There's some of the descriptions in it.
Yeah.
Very dark.
Yeah, but is it like so? When I was talking about that Homer's Odyssey and Paradise Lost, I read Paradise Lost. Because I always wondered like where do the stories of the demons that you hear about in movies and stuff come from, and like where these names you hear like Belial and blah blah blah. So I was like, where do those stories come from? Who is that? Because I've never seen it in the Bible. Not that I've read the whole Bible, but I've skimmed, and I never saw that in there. And it comes from this Paradise Lost. So this person's created a story, but at the start of it, he says he asked God to tell him a story that's never been told, and that's what the whole story is about. It's the fall of the devil, basically, and the start of Earth, and how the devil poisons it. It's like, but when you read it, it's this English words, and you don't understand it, like almost like Shakespeare, but harder. It's like I know every word that's been said, but I don't know what you're telling me. So I got the one in plain English because I'm a dumbass sometimes, and it was just
could be me to be fair. I'm even worse. Like I wanted to get into reading over these last 2 years, and like I've got such a low attention span. So like if I read a book, I'll read an entire page. I'm like, I haven't read anything of this. So like I'm reading, I'm like doing audible, like audio books because it's a bit easier for me to pay attention then. But like I know there's so many books that like aren't on Audible. Like I wanted to read Dante's Inferno, and I've heard of Paradise Lost and heard how great it is. But again, like I'm trying to work my way up.
You'll find that on YouTube, like there'll be readings of it, like same as you can find like Christopher Walken reads Edgar Allan Poe. I think some of it. It's just you can find it on there. But I struggle with Audible. I had it Audible, and then I was like, I haven't listened to anything. I'm just sitting there, just like I was trying to. It was like Stephen Fry doing. I think it was even Norse mythology or something. It was one of these Norse. Yeah, I think it was Norse or Greek. I might be lost. But yes, which is something I was interested in, but I just couldn't, like my whatever he was saying, my mind goes into that and I start imagining stuff, and then my own mind goes into it. And I'm like, I haven't listened to anything he said in the past 30 seconds. So it's like a book, to rewind and find the right bit on a book is hard, because it's like such minor error you can do. You skimming it to glide it back. You can't get 5 seconds. You can get 5 minutes.
Yeah, like Brad, I do read like whenever I'm really in the mood. I remember when I first told Brad, he was like genuinely shocked that I read. I was there like, do I not strike you as a person? And like, honestly, he was there like, because I think we were talking about Game of Thrones, weren't we, Brad? And I was there like, well, in the books, this happens. And you went, you read? I was there like, yeah, of course I would. I quite like it.
It's a big old book.
Honestly, I recommend to anyone that's in like a metal band to read Dante's Inferno, because the imagery you could grab from it, you could easily like make an album.
It's on the list.
Towards like the bottom low, like the bottom circles, like you could make albums just out of that concept. spoiler alert, but he's like 100-year-old, but like hundreds of year old. Like, the bottom circle of hell, it's only reserved for, like, I think Satan has 3 faces. One's like an orange color, one's like a black color, one's like, I can't remember what the other color is. But like they're both like facing different directions, but in the mouth of the center bit of Satan, the only person that is in there, which is the worst layer of hell, is Judas. And he's constantly condemned to being chewed by Satan, constantly being chewed. Like even in the book, Dante says he looks at him and there's no muscles left, it's just skeleton. Like, and that's what he's condemned to. And they even like say that when Satan was cast out of like heaven, it created such a big crater within the world. Like his ass is basically like facing at the opposite end. Like they proper go into it, and they even say like the path that they're walking down to go through all the layers of hell. It was when Jesus had passed away and like gone to hell for a second. He went to like purgatory. Took a bunch of people from purgatory from like the Old Testament, like Moses and shit like that, being like, hey, I know we weren't around when you were doing good shit for my dad, but you're going to heaven, boy. Like, and like taking him out, but it caused that much of a shock through hell. It created a crack all the way through hell, and that's the path that they walk down. The world building in the book's pretty good,
You should do like your own little Audible type version, your own versions.
I'll put it all in there. It's like, hey,
it's like a really informal reading.
All right, lads.
Jesus said, all right, boys.
So me and Nathan, we love a good music video. We are suckers for that. We love the video for Marge of Vals. What's like your favorite part of the process for that? Like, and how did you like go about creating the whole thing?
So basically, it was because there was lockdown. We'd recorded during lockdown. We wrote it ages ago. It feels like such a long time we wrote it. I think we actually wrote it through first lockdown via Zoom, and so everything was up in the air as how we're going to release it on our own. We didn't go to any like we normally go to a different sort of outsourced producer, but we went with our guy Dave, who's new. So everything was based around the possibility of not being able to do anything outside of our own house or amongst each other. But as the video time came, there was a bit of freedom with COVID and that, and we found this little place in Norwich that we could have like a giant white room. And I mean giant, they used to have they have not car shows, but car modeling there. Like they do big shoots there. And it was really cheap. And then we said, what can we do that makes sense with the stuff and doesn't involve having a load of big crew or anything like that. And we said about getting a projector. And I said about space, because the songs are about space and Mars and mythology. So yes, we borrowed my friend's projector, his smoke machine, and this place was giant. Like we really thought it was going to turn out rubbish, because the size of the place compared to the size of the projector we had wasn't great. But we took the smoke machine. My dad had some lasers. He liked to party back in the day, and he had these random lasers lying around. So I took them with us. So we just did everything on the cheap and without having to rely on anyone else really, apart from Scott from Dark North Media. He was fun to work with. He was a cool guy. So yeah, I reckon we all had meetings about coming up with it. I came up with it, I think, like just because I knew my friend had the projector and I was like, right, so it was just like that. But we all agreed. We mainly agreed on most stuff during this one. It's the most agreeable we've been on everything.
Yeah, I can say like I loved this how like it did look like DIY, but it looks so professional at the same time. Like, and I know because I do like videography and editing and stuff, so I know how hard it can be to like make something good on a budget. But like that with the whole projection and the stars and like the lasers, like it just looks fucking amazing. Like
it was little. We didn't think I brought the laser, and it was like the last sort of thing. We wasn't sure how it was going to go. We fogged the place up and we turned it on. And it's literally it's the size of the phone. Like, it's like that. It sits like that and it goes, and it makes a horrible rattling sound. But with the smoke, it looked wicked. I was like, all right, we'll have some of that. And yeah, as I said, Scott from the Dark North Media guy, he was when he saw the lasers, like, oh my god! Like he thought when I brought it, he was like, all right. He's like, here we go. It's just some dickhead bringing whatever. It's not going to work, mate. And then he was like, actually, it's fucking amazing.
No, it's cool because, like, you know, you get a lot of bands that they'll all sort of produce the same sort of videos, like, you know, either it's the warehouse one, or it'll be like, you know, it's overly CGI, and like they tend to like blend into each other. But I felt like there was a bit of like originality to your guys' one, and the fact that it was like a bit more DIY kind of added to it, in my opinion. It was cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we did like the other video, which was at the same place. So basically, the second video was. I keep calling it Zagreus, but it's not called that anymore. Sorry, my name. It's what the old names were. Actually, it's called Zagreus. So when we write the EP, if all the songs have got different names and they get stuck like that because we had those in the bank for a while. It took me a lot. Like even though we'd recorded and stuff, I was like, I don't know what to name them. I don't know what to name them. It took a while. Yes, for Zagreus we released, and that's in the same. We shot that in the same day. In the same place, but just without, you know, without any projection. It was just literally our friend that would come along with us to take photos for the day. He had a drone, and we were like, should we try and use it? And we had like an hour or something left to shoot as a second video. So we just plowed through the set, during which we hadn't even had the final mixes. So there was lots of things in the video that we were doing that weren't right. It was very, very like, let's just quickly make most of our time here. But it came out decent. I was worried because we were dead as well. We'd been doing the other video for 5 or 6 hours, knackered. Like you just keep doing the thing over and over again, and it's like more energetic than it is on stage sometimes because you control yourself on stage. Where this was like, let's go for it. You don't eat much, and you drink a bit, and you get a mess. So by doing the second video, we were like, God's sake. Just only drums. We didn't even have the music.
But the thing is as well, like sometimes the most DIY like videos end up being the best. Like I remember when we filmed a music video for our friend Percy Bones, who's been on the podcast. We ended up like, it was very like do it yourself, and that video ended up being like going really well and looking great. Like like we ended up having to go to like a butcher's and just getting like big organs and shit like that.
Nice.
It was like a bit where he wanted someone like cut in half. I had to. I was that person. But like we had.
That's why you can't see his bottom half.
I've still not fully recovered.
You haven't grown your legs back yet.
I'm still waiting. They're at the.
He's in the small claims corner
coming in. Yeah, but yeah, like you know, it will quite do it yourself, put it together yourself, and just, you know, like, get it done. And it ended up great because I feel like sometimes you shouldn't overthink it and just do it.
Yeah.
That's definitely a thing. Like from when we first started out and we were putting quite a bit of money into videos and producers, which we liked what we did. But you know, and it was also a time where not everyone was making music at home. You know, like it was just at the brink of that. Really, there was a start of it. So we still went to the studio as old school, but it felt good. You know, it felt like, oh, this is, you know, we're doing the music thing. So when you go to your friend's house and record, it's like, yeah, okay, it's weird. Like it still sounds good. Happy with how it sounds, but it hasn't got the same feel as when you're doing it. But overall, I like it. The most recent one the best. So it's the way we've done it. Worked for us quite well. My point was, it's just gone out the window. So lost it.
Well, see, I completely understand what you mean though. We're like going to like a studio and everything like that. Like just the experience of going to a studio. Like, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I feel like I'm in a band. Do you know what I mean? Like, like it's like, oh, you know, not many people get to like do this. Like,
exactly.
It's like the novelty of it. It's quite fun.
Definitely.
Like,
definitely.
I feel like when you record as well, you're a little bit more hyped up.
Yeah,
you go into the studio. So
yeah, there's loads of little things to it. Plus, it depends on who you use. Like producers sometimes put their sort of 5 cents, 2 cents in. 1 cent, it's another word. They put their little bits in. And I mean, the difference is, so doing it with strangers and, you know, like the people that you've worked with as producers who have an idea roughly, especially the first one we did, Ross Russell did our thing at Parlour Studios, and that was great. That was a proper studio. He's a proper producer. and lovely guy. He's got just stories and stories, like you've seen Wayne's World 2. You guys seen that movie?
Yeah.
You know the roadie, like that. You know the roadie talks about the M&Ms, like Aussie's M&Ms type stories.
Oh yeah.
So he's one of those, but they're hardcore, sort of on the road with Napalm Death stories, and he's a great guy. He's got lots constant stories. To be fair, we went with him. I stayed there for a month in Parlour Studios. They had the studio itself, and there was a bunk room and like little pool table area, and I stayed for everyone's recording. So the first was Mitch, the drums. I was there from then. And it was 4 weeks of me being there, basically. I think I went home maybe one weekend, but I was there mostly. My main source of cooking was in a Breville sort of sandwich maker. I used to just cook fry-ups in that in the morning, and it worked great.
Oh yeah.
But that all felt rock and roll in a way. It was from what I thought rock and roll would feel like. It was fun. And then slowly went down. I recorded my vocals for Samsara myself, which was a bit of a mistake, but somehow got it out. We recorded with Pavel Daniels for In the Shadow of Paradise album. And so he was a friend who was in a band who approached us and said, we played together, and he liked the sort of music we did. He was like, I'd like to have my take and try to do production what I think was right. And I loved it. And it's definitely my favorite album. But then working with Dave, we've known Dave, the guitarist, Dave Klussman, for years. Met him like at a gig in Norwich. He did audition years ago to be in the band, and the only reason that we said no was because he was in Norwich and we was in London, and we had Matt Lowry, who was in London. And them two are very similar types of people and abilities. Like they're both amazing guitarists. They've got their own style completely, but they're both fucking banging at what they do. Then Matt left. We've gone through as many guitarists as, I don't know, more than we can count. We don't want to do anymore, but we are currently a 4-piece.
Yeah, it's one of those things as well when you have so many like member changes. Like sometimes you get convinced. Like I'm convinced that there's only like 4 drummers in all of West Yorkshire. Like I'm honestly like I'm there. Like there's no more. None of them exist other than like
they're all in
these
10 bands.
4 guys. Like,
we have that here. It's the same. Like but the thing is, because there's drummers out there, and then there's really good ones, and there's only a few of the really good ones, and they're mostly in other projects constantly. Mate, sorry, I just need to pee. My brain I'll keep going off because I'm I'm trying to hold it.
Go for it, man.
Sorry. Just gonna put my headphones on.
Always. I almost caved the other day. I almost cut my hair.
Really?
Oh yeah, I almost went for a haircut.
No, you got to stick out, man.
It's at the awkward stage now.
Yeah, I think that's like the make or break, isn't it? Like you either just go for it now or you just cut it off. But I think it's just go for it. How long are you wanting it?
Like, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Because what I'm gonna do, I found like a charity that makes like wigs for like people that have alopecia and stuff like that. James was gonna donate his hair to it when he shaved it all off.
Yeah.
So I thought, what I can do is I can grow my hair really long, and when I feel like cutting it shorter, I'll just donate the hair to that charity, and I just keep doing donations.
Yeah, could do that. Whatever's best for you.
So I wanted it. I was like, it'd be nice to do something like that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Howdy. Hell yeah.
The audio doesn't seem to be coming through.
Sorry. I was asking. So I'm wearing these little Bluetooth headphones. Does it sound come through all right now?
Yeah, it comes through.
Yeah, sounds fine.
Yeah,
cool.
We've had people use like just the phone, not like microphone. Before,
Yeah.
It works all right. To be fair, like the sound quality is good.
Yeah, cool. That's what we're saying.
Yeah. So one of the next questions for me as well is like, what's your music taste like outside of metal? Like, what do you listen to when you feel like a bit of a break from it?
It varies. I mean, I like classical music a lot. It's something I listen to occasionally. Like if you go through my Spotify playlist, it's like one every 20 songs as a classical piece. Sometimes ones you just hear on my show, like Brian Cox Universe or The Planets. He did these two really amazing documentaries, and the ones I go to sleep with quite often. I put them on just because it's actually like that's something that can help with the dream thing as well. Putting on something that's quite like ambient and spacey if you have that sort of dream.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, but often just the music of that I loved. I felt like I watched those so much. I was like, I like that bit of music, and I searched and it took me. There was 100 songs, and I was going for no, not that one, not that one, not that one, not that one. It's only like a 30-second bit of music. I was like going through it. So yeah, I like that. I mean, me and my girlfriend, we get drunk and we put on various things from 90s hip hop and R&B to stuff like Kate Bush, Prince, James Brown.
Yeah.
A lot of Motown goes on. But I mean, it always ends up with being like deathcore, slam, and death metal.
Naturally.
Yeah. I get she likes it, so therefore we get to listen to it with someone. It's rare. Like I've got friends that like metal, not the stuff I like, or the heaviness I like. They're sort of like, yes, okay.
I'd like to imagine like when you're like preparing for the lucid dream, like they accidentally shuffles onto like slam and you're like, fucking hell, this is like random shit. People's I'd be
lying there like a bit sad, and then be like, okay, it's the day's changing.
It's I feel like it's also good like as a musician to like listen to outside of metal, because like there's like I like I like a lot of funk. Yeah, and like that's really good from like if you go to writing bass, like you can just 100%. I heard this bass hook in like a funk song. Do something like that, and it weirdly works. Like
it can definitely.
It's one of those things like getting influences as well as like just listening to other genres. I feel like it like expands you as a musician, especially with like classical, because like a lot of people don't really understand like the similarities between classical and metal.
Yeah. It is
pretty. They are pretty close.
It's the next like step sort of thing. Classical is the base. Death metal is just classical with distortion, I guess. Like it's more gloomy, I guess. Like classical is very triumphant and you don't really get that in death metal.
Yeah, if you put like a guitar over Beethoven, you get tag death.
Yeah.
What's also really cool is there's like I keep seeing it pop up on my social media where people have made like classical versions of like pop songs. Someone did 50 Cent, and I'm like, I sent it to Brad. I'm like, is it just me? But there's this kind of slap, and he was there like, it does. He said it genuinely does. Like, honestly, I feel like classical and metal, they're both very versatile genres. Like in their own right. Like you can. I feel like it's that sort of thing where it's like their base genre. When you break it down to its base level, it's quite a basic sort of thing, but you can then layer it on other shit. But because it's that sort of flat line, it can curve about however it wants. It's why I say like black metal can be pretty much added into most things. Because when you break it down to the
I've seen something like that. Yeah, I've seen them doing something like that, making black metal out of a pop song. But yeah, when I think about this a lot with music and metal, and like I feel like it's such a diverse genre of music in itself that I don't know of any other genre that intertwines everything. Like progressive metal, especially, they just go, like there's saxophones, solos in stuff now, and it works. It's stuff that we figured out because they read music like classical musicians and stuff. It's in a similar way.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's they can find a way to make it work, and they do. Obviously, you get some crap stuff out there. I don't want to name names at all, but you get some trash things that swap genres with even more trash.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, to be fair, with Arcspire on the flip side, if you put like, you know, classical music instead of like the reeds and the fucking like heavy guitars, you know, I could see that at a cheese and wine party. People with suits.
I feel like all technical music would easily have like an ambient sort of classical piece in the background. Well, easily, it would fit. But they do. I mean, they do it now with, you know, with more digital sound. They have like, there's always like a lot of ambient, discordant noises, where that, I mean, you could do that with strings or whatever. But I like the new way of they do stuff now. I've always liked progression in music. I'm not one to stick to the old school because I like that. You know, I grew up listening to Korn and stuff like that, and I still, you know, I love old Korn, and I'm glad they're still doing well. That's I haven't listened to anything since the 5th album, I think.
I think when I got into metal, they just released that. What's that fucking song? I just remember it from one bit because it's got like a bit where it's like a really creepy clown laughing, where it's in the chorus. Oh, it's called Insane. That was like the first one of the first Korn songs I ever listened to.
So what album? I mean, that's probably, how old are you guys?
I'm
24.
Oh, okay, yeah. So my wow. So I don't even know that song. I'm 40 this year, but so I knew like the first 3 to 4 albums.
Wow.
And I liked it up to Issues even. Like, people didn't like Issues, and I did because I was quite a new metal kid, I guess. And yeah, then after that, I wasn't a fan too much. I think without sounding horrible, I remember them talking about they became sober, and I feel like that can damage a musician that's brought their basis of being, you know, like when their inspiration comes from one place, it changes when you do become sober. Like the music, I've noticed it in many artists, which is sad to say, but it's just how it is.
It's true though, to be fair. Yeah.
It is true as well, like, because it's like that classic, I call it the Eminem syndrome as well, where it's like when like Eminem built his career on singing about how like dirt poor he was. Now he's a fucking millionaire. So it's then like you kind of sat there going, well, you're not anymore, are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, like,
it's not from the streets.
You're there, but he can't write the same way. So he kind of like, I feel like he compensates that by going, but how many words can I say in a single minute?
Yeah.
But it's there like, it's not the same. Like,
no, definitely, it's definitely different.
Yeah, like classic Eminem, you felt like a certain like authenticity to it.
Yeah,
it was a huge moment in time when he came out, and just the way music was back then as well. You know, it was like the way when people got famous, they got famous, and he was picked by Dre, and the whole hip hop era of that time was huge when he popped out as well.
Yeah.
So things now is so different, like music and the way it works.
Yeah.
Like go on.
Oh, go on. Sorry.
I wanted to, when I was in a band, when I wanted to be in a band when I was young, the idea was we go play gigs, you get spotted by someone hopefully, and then signed, and then you start releasing stuff or get paid to release stuff. That was what you heard as what would happen when I was young, or when I was like first starting in the band. And then now you have to do so much more with like they want their personality. I'm very against all that. I'm not someone that likes to post everything online. I like to chat to people and I like to share, you know, but in intimate situations, I'm not someone that just likes to be like, this is my thoughts and there you go. I'm more reserved in that way, and I don't like the fact that musicians are kind of expected to do that side of things. Like it's just I like to do the music side of things. I'm interested in that, and that's what I want to purvey in the world. Like I don't really care about having this sort of persona. If anything, I remember when I liked bands, it was more you was more interested in because you didn't know about them. Like it was like there was something mystical about them. Like without Slipknot, I used to love when they came out, and they were a mystery to the world. Like they were like monsters in making the craziest music I'd heard at the time. And then they took their masks off, and it changed properly.
Now Corey Taylor's on Loudwire every day.
And then he released Corey Motherfucking Taylor, and it's like, no, dude.
He's got a great voice, but it's just what he was. And what I used to see him as a monster, this dreaded man. It was like he was nutty.
Oh yeah, but like I feel like the mystery of it as well, where it's like you can make up shit in your head.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Makes them even cooler. They were from that shithole area in America. Sorry, from
if people listen there, from Des Moines, Iowa. And they, like, I remember when they first came out, I had a VHS video, and it was like called "Welcome to Our Neighborhood," and they made it look like where serial killers are made or something. It was just like, it looked like a serial killer video. It was like it was filmed as if through a mask. But I think they just put like sellotape over a camera, and it was just a bit all scatty. And then it was when they got big and they played that Ozfest show, like when they first got big, and they were in like the boiler suits. They used to fight on stage and throw up in their own masks and stuff like that. It was madness. That's what we heard.
Yeah, I'd love to see them back in the day. I would love to see that.
I saw them for the first album for the Sick album, and the Sick one. Yeah, they played Brixton Academy. I think that was the second time they were here, but it was that was insane. Like, and I was 18 when I went to that show, and I had people from like college. I told them, and they were like, "You know, people die at Slipknot shows. People inject you with heroin and stuff." That's what we used to get told. I was like, "Fucking hell, is it really?" I went with like some crow makeup on, and you just did anything back then. You were young. But it was an amazing gig. They played the whole album.
Oh wow.
It's crazy to think how like the music industry has like changed really. Like I feel obviously streaming's played probably the biggest part in that. I feel like it's because there's so much out there that like you could literally probably find it. Like there's so much choice. So it's like how can you make yourself stand out? And that's when like that's where people like I think bands had and band members had decided to go, okay, well, is put more personality and stuff like that. Now I feel like we're in sort of that influencer culture as well, where it's like, you know, people will just share their every thoughts and seconds, and people gravitate more to like an individual person than a group of people, which I find weird. But if you look at most bands now, like Gatecreeper's a good example, and stuff like that, you know, Chase is a funny guy. People will gravitate towards that, and most of band members now will normally one individual person will have more followers than the band than the band
themselves. Yeah. Wasn't that with that Matt Heafy? I think he was quite big. I don't know if it's Twitch or TikTok. He does it on something.
Twitch,
yeah. So he got he said he's made more money in the short time he's been doing this than he has in the whole of Trivium, which is nuts.
It's kind of mad, isn't it? Like after all the shows that he's put on, like everything that he's put into like music videos, it's just like he just plays a bit of Fortnite and that's just more than his entire career.
The thing is though, when people say that, they don't take into consideration the fact that they've toured the fucking world and had an experience that most people won't. So I mean, I would go on minimum wage, just money to survive and happily tour.
It's priceless, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You're doing what you love, and there's you only need money to actually eat and survive in real life. But like on tour, you get paid the days. You just live as the tour goes on, sort of thing.
No, absolutely. I want to ask about your hobbies and interests then. So obviously we've talked about your music. What kind of things interest you? Like what do you do as hobby when you're doing a bit of downtime?
So currently, I mean, like without getting a bit deep, I was looking after my dad. And during lockdown, like I've been off work since lockdown, and in that time I got into gaming, which I never really was into before. So that's something that's happened. You've actually taken me off playing Elden Ring tonight. So
is it good? I've been so intrigued.
Yeah, I've been thinking about getting
it. It's. I've never played one of those Dark Souls games. As I said, I didn't play games up until recent, and I looked at Dark Souls and I didn't. I'm quite snobby with graphics, and I was like, I want it. I don't like how that works. I played God of War as my first game, like God of War 4, and I was like, of my first game in real life, and I was like, that's what I want in every game. I want that sort of level of graphics and how it runs and everything and moves. And I have to say, Elden Ring is banging. It's like it's unforgiving and there's a lot to it that I don't understand at all. And I've played it for about maybe 10 hours, and I only today when I get it, I get some of this now.
It's really funny because I was talking about Elden Ring today at work. I was like, "Is it worth buying?" And like everyone's like, "Oh, well, if you like Dark Souls," I'm like, "That's the thing.
If you hate your life."
I bought the first Dark Souls in high school, and I remember obviously in high school didn't have much to do. And like I said, I didn't even get past the first fucking boss in that game. Like I said, honestly, I sat down, played it, and I remember getting so angry. I'm like holding the controller, like white knuckling to fuck, just being like, why can't I get past this bit? And they're like, yeah, but that's part of it. You die, you learn that move. You die, you learn that move. You die. And they're like, but how many times do you have to die? You would a lot, but then you eventually do it. But it's like, but why would I do that? Because I'm like literally like getting grey hairs at 4. Well, I was literally getting grey hairs at 15, being like, how the fuck do I beat this one guy? I'm like, and there's like 20 of us after that. Fuck that.
I've heard about it. As I said, I've not played it, but I have heard. But I don't know if Elden Ring is on that level of as being ruthless as that. There's little save points. There's like these little things of grace. And once you touch them, that's where when you die, you spawn at that last place, and you've got all your runes that act as like ways to buy and level up, which for me, I mean, I don't know if I'm stupid, but it didn't explain anything to me. It's like, oh yeah, you have to find someone that teaches you how to level up. And when you just start the game and you just wander out where the fuck you want to go, there's a kind of path, and you have to be good enough to fight to get to it. And so if you're not, you have to then go and fight elsewhere and level yourself up to come back to it or find other shit. But it is rewarding when you win and you feel like yes, like I've turned it off 5 times.
I'll say that, yeah. When I've been playing Demon Souls, I haven't played it for a bit, but like me and my friend used to play it. And when I beat the third boss in that game, because it took us absolutely fucking hours. We were there just like drinking fucking cocktails. It was like, this is so painful. And eventually we did it. I was like, this might be more rewarding than my fucking graduation. I never felt a sense of relief in my entire life.
Yeah. There is something about it.
Honestly, the guy that makes them, like they asked him like, why do you make them so difficult? He went, I don't make them difficult because I make them the same level for me to beat them. So if I can beat him, anyone else can. It's like, and like he says, I offer my sympathies to the people that can't play all the way through. Not that I'll make the next game easy. He was like, I offer my sympathies. And like people complained like when Dark Souls 3 came out, they're like, this is just too fucking hard. Like Steam released like actual analytics saying like, this is how many people bought the game. 4% of those people made it past the first boss. And he's there like, and he literally tweeted, get good. It's there like, no, he's that's just sadistic. Like I was like, I don't want to do that. Speaking of like God of War, I remember putting God of War, the most recent one, on like max difficulty, and like I remember, like just after you get past like Midgard and you go to like fucking the first world that you go outside of that. It's like those flying fucking those flying fucking elves. Oh my, they would send me like to the next, like so angry. Like, and I'd be like, they don't even exist. They're just like they're literally just like a bunch of like letters, like numbers. And I'm like, I hate them with like such a burning passion. Like it's like.
I fully understand. I played it. I didn't complete it on the hardest mode. I had to go just to play to see what it was like. And I like a challenge, but I like, like heroic mode, maybe. Right. That's what I'll allow. When you go to the next level, I'm like, this is gonna take fucking forever. And there's the Valkyries. I don't know how far you've got in that game, but there's the Valkyries.
I completed it. The Valkyries. I had to turn. I admit to be. I've turned the difficulty like so down after that. Because I was there, like I went through. I got like I think not even like half, like a quarter of the Valkyrie's health. I remember just looking at it and it was the smallest amount, and it absolutely fucked me. And like I was there, like I can't do it. So I switched to like the easiest. Felt like a hard man for a day. And
I did that too, and then I got up to like I don't know how many Valkyries there are. I can't remember. It's a while ago, but I got up to near the end of them, and one of them was just whooping me on easy. I was like, "Fuck is this?" It's like I'm not bad at this game. This is a struggle. But see, the Valkyrie, Elden Ring, that's the easiest fight you'll have.
Really?
Wow.
No, but the bosses are. It's like I watched someone today fight. There's a boss. The first boss on this game, same again. Everyone's struggling. His name's Margit, and I came up to him today actually. Everyone's going on about it, and they're saying you need this. It was so hard that everyone was struggling that they created a new like I don't know, it's not a weapon, it's something, it's like called a shackle, which is for him only, that you can use, and it takes half his life. So it's like they made it to help people. Like it just came out after like a few days, and like, all right, we'll give you that.
It's about as empathetic as the Dark Souls creators are going to get, isn't
it? Yeah.
Have you ever played Jedi Fallen Order?
Yeah.
Everyone calls it like baby's first Dark Souls because it's very similar, like a little bit easier. But I remember, I can't remember what his fucking name is because he's become like an internet meme now. But you know, like that frog thing. It's like the second.
The big thing.
Yeah, like it's on the second map. Like I'm not. I remember playing that and like just can't, because obviously the game doesn't tell you where to go. It just goes go. So like I just stumbled in it and I'm there like, oh well, and maybe I'm meant to fight this. And I remember spending hours fighting it. And being like, okay, well, it's obviously optional. But like, what do you get for beating it? So I spent hours trying to kill this fucking one like thing. And like I remember killed it, and at the end it's like, oh, you got a poncho. I'm like, a fucking poncho. I was there like, I got a poncho. It wasn't even a nice one. I was there like,
I'm not gonna use
fuming, like I was like, oh, that for nothing.
That's it. So we are sort of getting to the end point of the interview now. One way that we always like to leave it is, what advice would you give to your younger self, and what advice would you give to a new musician starting out?
For me, music is important. Music's like, I always say, when the end of the world comes, and it seems like it might at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Please, we were talking about it at work, and I actually said, I was like, please, can we stop talking about this? I'm like, no, I lose sleep right now, like over it.
I kept it in mind. I was like, I don't know if we don't when this airs, I don't know what the state of the world is going to be in. But yes, so when the end of the world does happen, there will always be music. So I would say, if you have a talent, and if like there's people who are talented in the actual playing of an instrument, and people who are songwriters, and if you have either of those talents, then just pursue it. Like, you don't have to, music can be made for you. You don't have to go into the way of, like, because looking for success doesn't always bring out the best music from you. You know, like you sort of pander to people's wants and needs, and you read stuff on the internet, and it always affects everything. It works obviously a lot, because there's a lot of people rich from making music that I don't find musical. So I would say never give up. And same for me. Like, if anything, but the advice I would give my younger self is, don't be a cunt at some point. You know, in your 20s, I was a bit of a, egotistical young chap. And I sort of came to settle down, and once you get rid of that and start doing things just for your own wants, then you get the purest form of your art, I guess. So yeah, that's what I would say. So I don't know if that made sense to people.
No,
definitely. It makes sense to me.
And viewers, if there's anyone watching, in the near future, if you're in your Fallout bunker, you're a bit tired of the sound of a nuclear rain, ASMR, and remember, music is timeless, so you can always come back to it. No, that's good advice.
I'll tell you what is terrifying at the moment. Like, there's just TikTok is just full of, like, if the nuke hit the UK, I'm there like, I was like, stop showing. I was like, I felt like it'd be like, someone please stop. How do I stop this from showing up on my timeline? Because I'll get full on like anxiety over it. I'll be like sat there going,
it can get on top of you for sure. But I remember saying this before any of this was kicking off. I was like, when stuff, if a situation like this does arise, people will be making memes up until the last second, and that's I kind of I have a love for the meme makers. They're doing some serious work. Like, for me, that's the best thing about Facebook mainly these days is memes. I don't, everyone's too busy giving their own opinion, but there's every now and then you get these random as fuck ones that just make everyone, it connects people. I feel the meme. Around the world, everyone knows the meme formats that are around. It's the one thing that connects people still. It's such a weird
universal,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Someone at my work even joked. He said, for a fact, if Russia fires that nuke, 4 minutes before it even hits, there'll be a meme about it.
Yeah,
he said, there'll be the emergency announcement, but like 2 minutes before that, there'll be the meme. Like, it's like, haha, who'd have thought it? Cold War.
See you in the post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah, it's like me and the boys rocking up to the post-apocalyptic. Like, it's like, good thing I saved these bottle caps. Like, there'll be shit like that. So yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, thank you so much. It's been a great interview. We've had a laugh.
Thank you.
It's been nice talking to you.
You guys are lovely guys. like what you're doing. My band will kill me if I don't say you have to check us out at on Spotify and YouTube and everything. Karybdis, unlike Brad said, Karybdis, not Karybdis, Karybdis. So we have the latest EP of Order and Chaos. We have got some tour dates coming up. If you check us out on Facebook and Instagram, we have those dates coming up as a sort of poster, and it will have dates in May, April, and June, I believe. Sorry guys if I got that wrong to Karybdis. But yeah, thank you guys for having me on.
And you have our thanks as well. I mean, Order and Chaos fucking slaps. If you haven't checked it out, go give it a listen. It's orchestral, it's beautiful, it's heavy.
Thank you guys.
It's been fantastic getting you on, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Cheers, man.
And I'll practice some lucid dreaming.
yeah, give it a go. Everyone.
Yeah. Thank you very much and take care.